The first is that public investment, as much or more than any other field, is subject to these issues of corruption and innovation that I've mentioned, and that absence of international competition can be a problem. A small amount of wasting people's money is to be accepted, but a large amount and fundamentally foul public investment is not. And we know that President-elect Biden, has spoken about a Buy America plan, which I would criticize just as much as I criticize the past efforts from the President Trump. And I think China as well benefits from more competition in its internal markets for government procurement. This is not something to say you should have no preferences and no standards, but just to remember that public investment is as subject to issues of absence of innovation, excessive corruption, if you're not careful. The second point is one that is based on the work of my Peterson Institute colleague, Olivier Blanchard, and is a theme both Olivier and I have been stressing for more than a decade, from when we were both in public service jobs, him at the IMF, me at the Bank of England. Simple rules about debt are misleading and are really not important. But what you spend your money on is potentially very important. And that's a much harder debate to have, whether it's internal in the party and in the state in China, whether it's external in the democratic process in the US. It's much harder to, instead of saying a rule, debt is bad, 90% debt is bad, to say what is a good use of our money. But there's no getting around that. The third issue and challenge of monetary and fiscal policy that is common to the Chinese 14th five-year plan and the other major economies is that we need to have a base of taxation that appropriately treats multinational companies and that's fair across countries. And fair is not just President Trump whining about American self-interest. Fair is about a system that allows the real innovators and entrepreneurs to secure their gains to everyone's benefit, but allows the public interest in being properly funded not to be cheated. And so global progress on international taxation, I think, has to be a core part of the agenda for the next few years. Our first speaker, Chairman Cheng-Fu Lin, spoke a lot and insightfully about financialization and financial deepening, and I am not going to go back through that. I would just say that both, again, in this issue of balancing innovation and not even balancing, in this issue of promoting innovation and dispromoting, pushing down on corruption, there is a place to be played for the financial sector. And both the US and China have their homework. For the US, it is not to overdo and abuse the use of financial sanctions unilaterally. Excessive use of those erodes confidence in the dollar and causes disruption to no good end. But China, as well, with its Belt and Road Initiative, has to be more transparent and more internationally standardized in the loan terms it makes under Belt and Road and other initiatives. Its cross-border lending is already causing some negative backlash for China, and it would do well to be transparent on that, just as the US would do well to be more aware of the effects of its sanctions on others.